Some stories are ignored when they first appear, printed as small news items, dismissed as rumor, forgotten within days. But years later, when details are re-examined, they reveal something far more disturbing. This is one of those stories. In January of 1989, a short news item appeared in several Turkish newspapers. It was printed without photographs, without headlines, without follow-up. The article stated that residents of a small rural village were allegedly seeing non-human beings after dark, and that people were afraid to leave their homes after 5 in the evening. To readers in major cities, it sounded insignificant. Another strange local rumor, another case of rural superstition. But for the people living in that region, the reports marked the beginning of something far more disturbing. The village was identified as Davutlu, a small agricultural settlement, isolated, quiet, and already struggling with depopulation by the late 1980s. Fewer than 200 residents lived there at the time. Most were farmers. Most had known each other their entire lives. There was no record of serious crime, no history of violence, no reason to expect what followed. According to residents interviewed later, the fear began shortly after sunset. People claimed that once darkness fell, the atmosphere in the village changed. A heavy fog would settle over the streets, visibility dropped sharply, and movement could be sensed, but not clearly seen. Villagers described shapes at the edges of the fog, not clearly human, not clearly animal. Some said they were tall, others said they appeared bent or distorted. Many insisted they made no sound at all. What united these accounts was a single behavioral change. After 5 p.m., the village shut down. Shops closed early, children were called indoors, animals were locked away. No one went outside after dark. As these reports spread locally, anxiety grew. While national newspapers treated the story as a curiosity, nearby villages took it seriously. Parents warned their children. Travelers avoided the area at night. And it was this contrast between public dismissal and local fear that caught the attention of a young journalist in Istanbul. He had recently graduated, he was early in his career, and he was looking for a story that hadn't yet been buried. In late January 1989, the journalist traveled to the village to investigate. He arrived with a camera, notebooks, and no prior conclusions. For the next 11 days, he interviewed residents. Every person he spoke to described the same rule. No one went outside after 5 in the evening. Many claimed to have seen something. Not once, repeatedly. Yet the journalist himself reported no direct encounters. No figures appeared on camera. No shapes emerged from the fog while he was present. What he did record was fear. People refusing to speak near windows. Residents asking that interviews end before sunset. Entire families watching the sky as daylight faded. Despite witnessing nothing extraordinary himself, the consistency of the accounts convinced him that the story was unfinished. Before leaving the village, he made a decision. He left his video camera behind. The camera was entrusted to a 14-year-old boy from the village. The boy was known to be observant and curious, comfortable with technology, quiet. The journalist instructed him to record anything unusual that might occur after his departure and to return the tapes later. The journalist returned to Istanbul. 3 days later, the situation escalated beyond anything reported in the newspapers. At midnight, the journalist was taken from his home by 4 men. They were gendarmes. They wore civilian clothing. No warrant was shown. They took him, along with the tapes he had recorded during his stay, to the regional gendarmerie command responsible for the village. There he was interrogated directly by the regional commander, a senior captain. The reason given for the interrogation was severe. 7 villagers had been found murdered in 3 separate houses. Among them was the 14-year-old boy who had been given the camera. The details of the crime were never publicly released in full. However, later testimonies and leaked accounts described the deaths as brutal and unusual. The bodies were partially dismembered. There were no signs of forced entry. The murders occurred indoors, and in one of the houses, investigators reportedly found writing on the wall, the journalist's name, written in Arabic script, in blood. To prevent panic, the authorities offered a simplified explanation to the remaining villagers. The incident was described as an act of madness. No mention was made of mysterious beings. No mention was made of tapes. No mention was made of investigations beyond the village. The funerals were held quietly under supervision. Only villagers and gendarmes were present. No media coverage followed. Soon after most residents left the village, Davutlu never recovered. The journalist was eventually released. There was no evidence tying him to the murders. But his story did not end there. On Tuesday, February 3rd, 1989, his belongings were found in the forest near the village. His clothes, his boots, his bag, his notebook. There were no signs of a struggle. No body was ever recovered. The journalist was officially listed as missing. He remains so to this day. The gendarmerie commander who conducted the interrogation retired the following year. In 1990, he left active duty due to psychological issues and moved to Istanbul for treatment. 16 years later, in 2006, he took his own life. He was 59 years old. After his death, his daughter opened his personal safe. Inside were 3 large envelopes. One contained black and white photographs. The other 2 contained the journalist's notebook, newspaper clippings from 1989, and 3 video cassettes. Each cassette was labeled with the same phrase, Karadedeler Incident, 1989. According to the daughter's later account, the first cassette contained interviews with villagers. The second showed the journalist's interrogation. The third contained footage recorded by a villager's child. She watched the final tape. After 10 minutes, she stopped. She later stated that she felt intense fear, so strong that it took nearly 2 years for her to recover. In March 2009, facing financial difficulties, she sold the cassettes. She never disclosed to whom. No verified copy has ever surfaced publicly. At this point, the story fractures. Some researchers claim the incident never happened in Davutlu at all. They argue that the real location was Karalar village in Sakarya. That village now lies in ruins. In 2015, it was demolished entirely, officially to make way for a dam. The demolition erased the physical location tied to the story. Whether this was coincidence remains unclear. Another explanation emerged years later, a theory of corruption. According to this account, the regional gendarmerie commander was involved in smuggling operations through the village. To ensure secrecy, fear was deliberately cultivated. People were kept indoors after dark. The Karadedeler narrative served as cover. The child, filming at night, accidentally recorded something real. Not supernatural, but a criminal. To silence him, the plan escalated, and the murders were staged as something else. The journalist, now aware of the tapes, was interrogated in secret, and later, eliminated. The commander, possibly overwhelmed by guilt, ended his own life. This theory explains some details: the civilian gendarmes, the secrecy, the missing tapes, but it does not explain everything. Why the villagers believe so completely? Why no one questioned the explanation? Why multiple village headmen later denied the incident entirely? Or why an entire village was erased from the map? So what really happened? Was the Karadedeler incident a genuine case of mass fear triggered by something unknown? A violent crime hidden behind superstition? Or a story constructed after the fact to explain corruption and silence witnesses? The tapes may have held the answer, but they are gone, and so are the people who knew the truth. Some mysteries are unresolved because evidence is missing. Others remain unsolved because the truth was never meant to survive. The Karadedeler incident may be one of those. And until the tapes resurface, it will remain exactly where it has been since 1989, in the dark. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in carefully researched mysteries, unresolved cases, and stories that were never given clear answers, consider subscribing to the channel. New investigations are released regularly. Until next time, stay curious.